Welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean, my pronouns are he, him, and I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living.
My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a contributor to Edge Media Network, and I too am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
My name is Dave Riedel. I write about movies for some places. My pronouns are he, him, and I am also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
Yes, you are.
Indeed I am.
Before we get into it this week, wanted to just say that this week was a big week for the show. It was actually our 7th anniversary of doing Spoiler Piece. Can you guys believe it?
Woohoo!
Wait, this is 7th. Boo! What do you mean? What is that? I mean,
we lasted longer than Dave thought that we would.
Like you're booing that?
I meant congratulations, us. Yeah. No, that's very cool. I mean, what would it be me if I were not a contrarian? I mean, come on. So
no.
True. Yeah. You needed to boo. Needed to boo someone, even if it was us in this case. But yes, very excited that we hit the 7-year mark. We think, I don't know, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like this was, I wouldn't imagine of getting to the 7-year mark. So it's just really exciting. It's awesome.
Yeah. And now
love doing the show.
And now you have to worry about getting the 7-year itch. So don't anyone get all I got to do other things. We're in this for the haul.
Yes. Yeah, we're locked in for life now.
Yes.
That's it.
I love it.
There's no abandoning this ship.
Yeah. There are bad boys for life and spoiler piecers for life, I guess. So that's how it goes.
I dig it.
Thank you.
But seriously, thank you.
I was like, if we're all chained together, I love being chained to you guys.
Yeah.
Shucks. Same.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get slightly emotional just for a second because I know I've said it quite a few times, but it still holds true. You know, the last year was a shit show, for everybody, for the world, and things are not back to normal, unfortunately, of course, but things are slowly, moving. And I just want to say, I honestly don't know what I would have done without you guys. You guys kept me grounded and centered and were a delightful support system and funny as always. Yeah. So it was just great to be a part of this journey with you guys.
That's very Megan. I don't take compliments well, so I don't really know what to say except thank you, I guess would be the polite thing. I don't know. So
yes, Dave, thank you. Thank you for those kind words. It really, it's been a year.
Yeah. In addition to the pandemic, there's been a lot of things going down. So this show has been an emotional center. So thank you, both of you.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's your one piece of emotion from me for the year. So
the rest will be snark all the way.
Exactly. Snark and smarm. So,
Yes.
Yeah. It's been really nice to have this to look forward to every week of sitting down, doing the show, talking about movies, still continuing to see movies, even though theaters haven't been open. There's been a lot of great opportunities. Covering Sundance was definitely a highlight this year, and even parts of South by Southwest, just doing things that I was not able to do before. And so it's been really amazing 7 years. It's been amazing 2 years since you joined us, Megan. And
thanks.
I just want to say thank you to both of you, and thank you to all of our listeners and our patrons and everyone who's tuned in over the years or supported the show. It really does mean a lot to us. So thank you.
It means a lot to me too. I know that I sound insincere, but I'm being sincere.
That's just your normal milieu.
That's just how I fucking sound. Deal with it, everyone.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
So I imagine you probably tuned into the show to hear us talk about movies. So I should probably mention the movies that we're talking about this week on the show. First, over on our Patreon, our exclusive audio, we are talking about Legally Blonde, which just celebrated its 20th anniversary, and that was quite a fun discussion. So if you're not a patron, consider joining up for our Patreon, and you get exclusive audio each week, like this week's segment. And for the main show, we are going to be talking about M. Night Shyamalan's Old. We're going to be talking about Gunpowder Milkshake, Settlers, and of course, we had to follow up last week's show by doing Fear Street Part 2, 1978. We're not going to leave you hanging on this trilogy.
No.
But first, Megan, you just
Yes.
you literally just saw Old.
I did, literally.
So tell us about this movie.
Sure. Well, as you said, this is the latest M. Night Shyamalan film, and it is based on a graphic novel called Sandcastle, and a small group of people are on a beach on a vacation, a tropical resort, and they go to this secluded beach, and then they start aging very rapidly. And like the equivalent of 30 minutes on the beach they figured out it equals 1 year in real time. So,
Whoa.
yeah. So there are 3 families and then one kind of random individual. And the 3 families, 2 of them have children. And the main family that we're following is Guy, who's played by Gael Garcia Bernal, and Prisca, played by Vicky Creeps. And they have 2 kids, and their son is 6 years old, and I think their daughter's like 10 or 11. And yeah, as they're spending, and everybody's on the beach and they're having a great time. And then things start to go awry when their son finds a dead body in kind of one of the grotto pools. Yeah. And then they start noticing some strange things, like grandma is not feeling well and has like a chest issue. And yeah, and then she dies. And then pretty soon later, her dog dies. And
oh no.
Yeah, and then the kids are older, and there's another couple who kind of joined them later, and the couple's like guessing their ages, and the camera's being very coy, like the editing and the cinematography. So you're not seeing the kids, you're seeing them from the back, and you can hear their voices, and you can tell their voices have changed. But you're not really seeing it. And they're like guessing their ages. And they're like, oh, you're 11. And the 6-year-old's like, no, I'm 6. What are you talking about? And they think the kids are just playing a game. And then you see Vicky Creeps come around the corner, and she looks horrified, and she sees her children are much older now and they're teenagers. And so nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows why this is happening. They try to leave the beach. And when they try to leave, they have like pain and pressure in their heads, and they pass out, they black out, and then they end up back on the beach. So they can't leave the beach. Somebody tries swimming away, dies doing it. So they can't swim away. Somebody tries climbing the rocks, and they fall and die because they black out while they're at the top of the rocks. Yeah. So there is no way off of this beach. And yeah. So
This sounds like a brutal movie.
Yeah, it's kind of intense. But the thing of it is, so right from the start, it's very much not a surprise. This is not a subtle film. It's laid on very, very thick right away that the kids want to be older. Like they're kind of as they're playing, they're talking about having more. We're going to be best friends and have mortgages, and one of the kids builds like a towel kind of enclosure on the beach, like a little house kind of hut thing, and says, we're going to have a housewarming party, and we're going to live in condos, and I don't want to live like you. And so they're talking about being older. So clearly they're thinking about that right away from the start. And the parents are fighting because Guy and Prisca are on the verge of getting a divorce, and he complains that she always lives in the past, and she complains that he's always living in the future. So they're never in the moment. And it's trying to be a commentary on time, of course, and how time is precious, and seizing the moment and living in the moment and appreciating the present. But instead, it comes off incredibly ageist and very ableist, because one of the characters is played by Rufus Sewell, and he's a doctor. And while he's in the midst, by the way, this is an interesting scene. So one of the characters has, it's Vicky Creeps' character, has a tumor, and all of a sudden the tumor is like now huge in her stomach. And he does kind of a rudimentary surgery to remove it. But every time he cuts her, her body closes up because people's wounds are healing because of time moving so fast. And yeah, so they have to like get their hands in there to like keep the wound open. Yeah, I kind of wish we could have seen it more because really the camera's like up close, so it feels kind of a little more claustrophobic.
Wait, you wanted to see more of the surgery?
I did.
Is this?
I did.
Quick question.
I'm a weirdo.
Is it PG-13 or R? Do you know?
I honestly don't know. I don't.
I will Google it.
PG-13.
There we go.
Okay. Well then.
Yeah. So, but as he's doing the surgery, like even right before, he starts getting fixated on like, oh, Jack Nicholson was in this movie. What's this movie? And it's very clear that it's trying to go down the dementia route. Like he's got early onset, either Alzheimer's or dementia. And then it leans into that really, really hard. And then, but actually it's not dementia. It's, I believe he's schizophrenic because I think it comes up later that he is. But anyway, he becomes very violent and it just feels really icky and creepy. And that, and then there's a woman, his wife is very young and she's really fixated on her beauty. And then of course her beauty is turned against her and she's punished for her vanity. And like her makeup becomes all of a sudden somehow really garish. And she has like bone issues because she has a lack of calcium and her body becomes distorted. And it's just, yeah. So anyway, this film has potentially an intriguing premise. It has potentially some good ideas, but the characters are really thinly drawn. It needs better and more robust writing because I might have found this a lot more compelling if I cared about the people. And I just didn't really care what was happening. And everything is so repetitive because almost the entire film takes place on this beach. And it's like we keep seeing the same things happening. People can't leave. People can't leave. People die. People try to leave and they get bounced back to the beach. So it's just very repetitive. But yeah. And then the end takes a kind of interesting turn. One I saw coming right from the start, but yeah. So
has it? Well,
come on, it's spoiler piece. We got to hear this twist.
Yeah, I mean it's not a twist in the normal twist that he does, but it is a twist. But yes, Dave, you were going to say?
I was going to say, is it a dumb M. Night Shyamalan twist or is it something different?
I mean, it's not real. The thing of it is I don't think of it as a twist like the way I might other films of his, because again, I saw it coming immediately, but then again, maybe that's still a twist. So anyway, I will share what the end is. So very early from the start, there's a brochure in the resort from a pharmaceutical company. So I'm like, oh, they're running experiments on the people on the beach. And that's exactly what's happening. It's all one giant medical experiment. So they purposely, and the characters kind of figure out pieces of this as they're talking to each other. So it is kind of strewn throughout the film. But almost everyone has some kind of medical issue or a mental health issue. And they're purposely chosen and they kind of figure that out. And it's so they can study. And then at the end, and by the way, the person who is observing them is played in a cameo by M. Night Shyamalan. And
yeah, grown.
You know he loves Hitchcock. He can't get away from it. So of course he's going to put himself in as a cameo.
Loves Hitchcock with 1/10 of the talent. God.
So yeah, and then the end or close to the end is at a medical lab, like an experimentation lab, where they're talking about all the trial patients and the medical advances. But then there's another twist. So they think everyone has died on the beach, but not everyone has. And so then it wraps up really kind of rapidly and weirdly where everyone's arrested.
I was going to say, how is any of this legal? But
well, yeah, it's not. And yeah, so
which patient survives or which character?
So there's two characters that do, and the two that do are the main two kids.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they survive, and they survive because I was like, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's convoluted, but kind of. But anyway, they end up surviving. And there was a cop staying at the resort, and they have a journal from a previous group that was there with like all these people's names and they're all missing. So yeah,
that's just so stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell you, you had wanted to see this, and I was just like, I remember I saw the trailer for this, and I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting idea. And then I saw one of the women who I think she had been a kid, and then all of a sudden she was pregnant, and I was like, no,
oh yes,
no, thank you.
Oh yeah, that happens too. Yeah, that's Eliza Scanlon who plays that character.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm not fucking doing this where like one of the things is like losing your body. Fuck you. It made me really angry. I don't know why.
Yikes, I guess so.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think, Megan, you've confirmed all of my worst suspicions about this movie. Like basically, like beat for beat, you've just described everything I was hoping this movie was not going to be, and then actually turned out to be, because it is, of course, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I was intrigued by the premise that it was based on a graphic novel. It seemed like it could be a little different, and
he just sucks. Why doesn't he just fucking stop? Why do people keep seeing? He's awful. I mean, The Sixth Sense was a fluke, everybody. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, we should maybe move on to another movie, unless there's any last parting thoughts that you feel like you need to leave on the beach, so to speak.
I will say, there are some great actors in this. I mean, Vicky Krieps is great. Gael Garcia Bernal is great. Eliza Scanlon is great. Thomas and Mackenzie is great. Rufus Sewell. Like, there's a lot of great actors. Ken Leung is in this. He's always great. I always enjoy seeing him. And it just feels like everyone is wasted. And it's sad because this could have been really good, but it needed so much better writing.
Oh, man. This reminds me of the old Gene Siskel thing where he used to say, like, here's the real question. Is the movie better than a documentary of all the actors having lunch? So, clearly this would not be. So you can skip.
No.
Old. So.
Well, thanks for telling my recommendation. You're so funny.
No, well, it sounds like you're kind of like,
Yeah, no, you got it. It just was funny hearing someone else say it.
All right, then let's move on to to a movie which will be hopefully more fun to talk about. Gunpowder Milkshake, which is written and directed, and I'm pronouncing this correctly, Navot Papushado, and co-written by Ehud Lavsky. And it stars Karen Gillan, Lena Headey, Carla Gugino. Who else am I missing?
Angela Bassett,
Michelle Yeoh.
Angela Bassett, yes.
Chloe Coleman, Paul Giamatti.
A stacked cast, very stacked cast. This IMDb plot summary is really not going to cut it.
I don't know why you guys returned to IMDb. I don't.
Yes.
For that reason.
But this is about Karen Gillan is a hit woman and assassin. I want to be gender neutral.
Yeah, let's call her an assassin.
Yeah, these are women assassins.
And her mom, Lena Headey, was one when she was growing up. So her mom disappeared. She went into the family business, so to speak, where Paul Giamatti was kind of looking after her. He's kind of like her contact with this group called The Firm, which we find out is the stupid men, the asshole men who run the crime syndicate. And Karen Gillan sent out on a job, and she's supposed to kill this guy who's stolen from the company. And it turns out that he stole the money to get his daughter back because these other dudes kidnapped her and hold her for ransom. And so she shoots the guy, but then regrets it and tries to get him help and goes to rescue the daughter and goes completely off of her orders, which gets her into all kinds of trouble. And I think that should be enough to get us started, right?
Yeah.
So what do we think about Gunpowder Milkshake?
Someone who liked it, go first.
Oh, you didn't like
it?
That's a shame.
I did not.
I dug the shit out of this movie. I really enjoyed it.
Explain yourself.
I mean, this movie is just fun to watch. Like, it's got great characters. It's got, I think, some really awesome art direction, cinematography, editing. Like, some of the fight scenes are really fun to watch. It's got fun characters. It's got a really like brutal sense of humor. I don't know. I don't know. Those are some of the like immediate thoughts that are coming to mind.
Megan?
So, yeah, I like this. I'm very in the middle of both of you because I do think this is fun. It's incredible. This is what I said in my review of it. I think it's really slick. I love the vibrant colors. The art direction, you're right, Evan. I think the art direction is really good. I love the fight sequences. I always love when I can actually see what's happening. I love when there's a wide shot of a fight. I think the fight choreography is really well done. I like that there are unconventional fighting locales. Like the bowling alley fight scene is my favorite. I love that. I love that it's this old library, although it's not really an old library. It was actually recreated on a set, but I digress. But yeah, I love the fighting locales. So I think those are great. And I think Karen Gillan's stunt double is really fantastic too. Like her fight moves and Karen Gillan's that she does, that they're kind of merging together. Really, really well done. However, I did genuinely enjoy this. However, I had some serious issues with this film. I don't think the characters are great, actually. I think the character writing is one of the weakest parts of the film. I think Karen Gillan's lead performance, it needs to be a lot stronger, especially that she's carrying most of the film.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I kept yearning for a lot more range from her. I felt she was kind of very one note, especially, and it's especially contrasted when you have such amazing actors like Lena Headey can act the shit out of any scene. She can do villains. She can do Sarah Connor. She is amazing. She has such breadth and range. Carla Gugino is always amazing, and she always has tons of pathos and just has a tremendous amount of emotion oozing out of her. I love that. Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, they are amazing. They are incredible. They can also act in anything. And so when you have an actor who is not at that level of these other actors, it makes it kind of glaring. And so I wanted more from Karen Gillan. I also was really disappointed at the massive underutilization of Michelle Yeoh and Angela Bassett. Like, we never really learn anything about their characters. We don't really know anything about their personalities, not really. And that's kind of disappointing to me. And
we don't know anything about anybody, though. I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but.
No, that's okay. But actually, I disagree. I think we do know about Sam, Karen Gillan's character. I'm not saying we know a lot about her, but we know the fact that we see a scene, which by the way is very reminiscent of Birds of Prey, where she's like eating cereal, watching anime. She's clearly very latched onto her childhood because she kind of had a stilted childhood when her mother, left her during her youth. So she's clearly trying to still hang on to that. So I think we kind of know more about Sam than you might think, like just from kind of subtle clues. But you're right, Dave. We don't really know a lot about any of the other characters. And I think that's a huge misstep and an unfortunate mistake. And the last thing I will say that I have a problem with the film is it's very clear. Well, first of all, it's made by mostly men. Like the writer's a man, the director's a man.
Yeah,
the cinematographer, the editor.
Yep.
And it's very clear that having such a women-centric cast of 3 generations of women, which I did love seeing, and I do love seeing them fight together, and that's great. But it's very clear that they're trying to be like, rah, rah, like we're pro-women and women's empowerment. And the director even said that in the press notes. He saw this as a women's empowerment story. And I'm like, this is such a superficial view of feminism. Like, just because you have a women-centric film and just because you say the word feminist in the dialogue does not make your film feminist. And like, yes, kind of, sort of, because they're trying to get out from under the firm, which, yes, as Karen Gillan narrates, is a bunch of men. So it's like that kind of is sort of feminist, but still, it's so shallow that I was bummed. But yeah, so I do like this film, but it's got some flaws.
All right, here I go. So there is no way I am the first person who said this, but this is kind of like watching like the JV version of John Wick. If the diner was the hotel that you're not allowed to shoot anybody in, and
Continental,
the Continental, and it just, and then there's even libraries in John Wick, for Christ's sake. I mean, my God. But also, I completely agree with you, Megan. It's like you take the trouble to hire Angela Bassett and Michelle Yeoh and Carla Gugino and Lena Headey, and this is what you have them fucking do? Are you kidding me? This is just, I thought some of the action was good. I really thought the slow-mo stuff was like really shitty, especially in the last diner scene, because I just hate CGI blood. Really I just hate it. And so when I can just see all the CGI blood, and when like the son or the nephew or whoever the fuck that guy is jumps out the window and like those blood spatters appear on his back, like as an afterthought almost, it's like, what the fuck am I watching? What group of fucking amateur hacks made this shit?
That was an over-the-top scene. Yeah, like when Michelle Yeoh gets...
Like, and then her eye gets blown off. It's like, wait a minute, when did that even happen? I didn't see it.
No, there was a knife to her eye.
Yeah,
her eye got her in the eye with a knife.
I didn't see it. You know, it's like a slow-motion fucking action scene, and I didn't see her get her eye sliced. What the hell?
Yeah.
You know, so... the whole thing, it didn't make me mad. It's kind of making me mad thinking about it now.
I was like, you're mad now.
But I also just like, you know, I've sort of like, you know, a lot of people really like Karen Gillan, and I've seen her in things that I liked that dumb sitcom she was in with Selfie with John Cho. I thought she is
the best.
Yeah, I thought she was a lot of fun in that, and he was great. And I liked her in the horror movie she's in when the clock is trying to kill her and her brother. I don't remember what the Oculus. But then the other things I've seen her, I'm just kind of like, I don't really understand what your deal is, because you're just not very, I mean, you're fine, but there's nothing special about you other than you're really tall, you know? So, I mean.
Maybe a bit stiff, I think. I mean, like, kind of works in Guardians of the Galaxy and then the Marvel movies when she's playing Nebula, because her character is kind of like a little bit like robotic, but like.
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying in terms of like her performance.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because, you know, she's Scottish and so she's doing an accent and maybe she doesn't have the mastery of it that some other people do. I don't know. Maybe it's the direction.
I think it's just a demeanor.
Maybe it's just her. Like I don't know.
I just think there's not a lot of range there.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know.
Yeah, she plays lots of Americans, so, you know, it shouldn't. Yeah. But I don't know. It just, this whole thing just bugged me from start to finish. Like the moment that the server at the diner was like, "Oh, put your gun in my like fucking whatever I keep my apron that I keep my checkbook, not checkbook. Fuck. You know. Notepad, thank you." I was just like seriously.
Just completing Dave's
from
sentences.
The beginning, I was just like, are you kidding me? What the fuck is this? It was so frustrating. And I just knew this is the kind of movie that people are going to be, this movie's fucking great. Can you see that? Fuck you. And you fucking, not you, Evan. You're lovely.
Well, fair enough, Dave.
I was like, yay.
I know. It just,
I was like, I liked this too. I mean, I didn't hate it.
I mean, it just, you know what it is? It just bummed me out so much.
Because it could have been better.
Yeah, because it was just so, it's not like it's even really bad. It's just so completely mediocre. It's like, I will agree with you that it looks really good. I think the production design is fantastic. I think the costume design is great. Everything else. I mean, even Paul Giamatti, who is like, you can count on Paul Giamatti. He looks like he's just like, is this scene over yet? When's lunch? Come on. You know? I mean,
yeah, he's wasted here too.
So it was a super bummer for me, and I'm sorry that I got so heated, and I didn't mean to like bag on you guys because you liked it. But
no, it was kind of funny actually. But I mean, same. I don't care either.
I'm still gonna like it.
Yeah, I'd still like it, and it's you. You both brought up valid criticisms of the movie. I think Karen Gillan's lead performance is weak for someone who's supposed to be carrying it. I would have also liked to have spent more time with the women of the library and
the librarians.
And get to know.
Why not make an origin story for them? Fuck the Gunpowder Milkshake Karen Gillan stuff. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I dug the action set pieces, like the car chase where.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, I liked that too.
The drive in the garage, I thought that was really effective. I thought the fight scene before that, where Karen Gillan's arms are immobile and she's got a scalpel and a gun taped to her hand, and she's got to fight these other guys who are also physically disabled from when she disabled them in the prior fight in the bowling alley.
No, I thought that fight scene was great. I liked the fight scenes. I mean, Dave, I know what you're saying about how this is not John Wick. This is not Atomic Blonde, which actually has some of my favorite fighting, which I know, same crew. But I mean, the fact that Atomic Blonde really shows how you can get exhausted in a fight, something you very rarely see in a fight scene. So yeah, I know what you're saying, but the thing of it is that there are so many action films and there are so many films with fight sequences, and so often the good choreography you just don't really get to see. And so here I liked that you did, and I liked it. And so yeah, I'm with you, Evan. I liked the fight scenes here. To me, that's the strongest part of the film, along with the art direction.
I do wonder how she was able to fire the gun when she couldn't use her arms. I know that I know that you can, like, if you move a gun too quickly and your finger's on the trigger, it can fire, but it doesn't always. So
it's playing fast and loose with some, physics here.
Yeah. I don't think she got it every time either. I felt like there were times where she was like smacking her hand and not the gun wasn't firing. But
that is true.
Yeah, I think to go back to the fight scenes, I hate to say it, so the bowling alley scene I thought looked really great, and I loved the wide shot. I love being able to see everything. One thing that I felt about that scene is it felt just, like when sometimes you notice the choreography, like something feels rehearsed. That was the one scene that I was kind of like, I can see people doing the movements. Like it doesn't feel so much like an organic fight, but like almost like a ballet that's being performed. So that scene didn't work quite as well, but I really, really enjoyed the rest of it.
Yeah, see, I like fight sequences like that. So I like very well, like Haywire, I love. I mean, well, not Gina Carano anymore, but
no, me neither.
But Haywire, like it's such a well choreographed, fight movie that I want my fight scenes to look like ballet. That's what I want them to look like. So for me, I hear what you're saying. It wasn't realistic. It gave me everything I wanted, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something I want to talk about before we move on, though, is I think this film also has some really interesting, and by interesting I mean kind of has some issues with its notions of like motherhood and nurturing and I like, one of the things I really liked is that, and this is such a trope, putting a killer or a warrior with a child. Like there are so many examples of that, throughout film and television and video games. There's so many examples. And with a couple of exceptions, there are women who do it and who are paired with a child, but so often it's a man who's paired with a child. And I kind of like that we see a woman paired with a child here, but at the same time, it's so heavily focused on motherhood. And it's like, there are other relationships and other things for women to do. But anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, I liked it, but I also was like, oh.
Well, I also didn't like how this kid was just like, look, I know you killed my dad, but you're okay. That was something that was very weird. Like she immediately just kind of bonds with Sam, and it's like, she doesn't really know a lot about her, but even then when she finds out that, she killed her dad, she forgives her pretty quickly. Yep. Strikes 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Well, should we move on to talk about Settlers?
Yes, but let's do it quickly because...
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Because I'm more anxious to talk about Fear Street Part 2 than I am about Settlers. Sorry, listeners. So let's dig right in. So Settlers is written and directed by Wyatt Rockefeller. It stars Sofia Boutella. It stars Ismael Cruz Cordova, Brooklyn Prince, who you may remember from Florida Project, Johnny Lee Miller, and Nell Tiger Free. She plays the older version of Remy, who is Brooklyn Prince's character. It's a very tight cast. There's very few people. It's a sparse sci-fi Western movie. Yeah.
There are 6 actors in the movie and 2 of them play the same person. So,
right. And several of them die over the course of the movie.
They all die.
Yes.
Johnny Lee Miller and Sofia Boutella, and then eventually Ismael Cruz Cordova he's killed as well, and we're just left with Remy. So yeah, this is it is a brutal movie. It's a sci-fi Western. It's like about this family that live in this farm on Mars, and then these strangers show up to try and, scare them away, kill them, what have you. And shit goes down. Johnny Lee Miller, the father, is the first to die. He's killed by Jerry, who's played by Ismael Cruz Cordova.
Doesn't even get a good death scene. Just gets killed off screen.
Hear a gunshot. Yeah. Which is a bummer.
Yeah, I like Johnny Lee Miller.
So yeah, then Jerry comes and lives with Remy and Ilsa, and like he just basically takes them hostage.
Yeah.
And his thing is like, I'll give you 30 days. And then like after 30 days, I'll put my gun down and like you can get your shot to try and kill me.
But of course, I don't know why.
I don't know why he decided on that arbitrary deadline. But anyway, it's just, I don't know. It's it's a brutal movie. That's at least my initial words to describe it. But would love to hear from both of you what you thought of it.
Well, I'll just say, you're in trouble when the robot is the most compelling character.
Oh my God, yes.
Robot Steve.
Steve the robot.
Hell yeah.
And Piglet Cassie. Yeah. I love the piglet.
I mean, I think that this is you've got the germ of a really good idea here. But the fact that it turns into this weird hostage rape thing for a good half the movie, I found so unpleasant. And I was just, especially the way that, even though Jerry sort of presents himself as this was my family's farm, and as far as we know, that's true. This was my family's farm. We never learned, by the way, why he wasn't on the farm, why he was like out in Mars doing whatever the fuck he was doing. I should also mention that it has like a protective bubble over it to have its own atmosphere because Mars is Mars. They don't.
Mars.
there's nothing about the gravity being 38% of what it would be of Earth, but whatever. We'll let that go. So Jerry shows up, and yes, he is. It's his family farm, so you could say he's got rights to it. He kills Johnny Lee Miller. All right, fine. He was trying to kill you, but then the whole thing where Ilsa she tries to seduce him into like putting it, like letting his guard down so she can probably kill him later, which, okay, makes sense from a plot point of view. But then I just, the fact that Jerry was just such a fucking sociopath asshole the whole time, and that he left an empty gun on the table for the specific purpose of killing Ilsa and then having this kid all to himself to do whatever the fuck he's going to do. It was so ugly. It's just really, ugh.
Oh my God, I can't wait anymore. I so agree with everything you're saying, Dave.
Okay, good.
I can't. No, I can't. I was like, I literally wrote this all over my notes and I typed it into my notes because I write and then I type. And I was just, fuck this movie. Fuck it all. No. And it's so unfortunate because I agree. There is a really good idea here. I love Brooklyn Prince. I think she's outstanding in the Florida Project. She's always good. And like in other films I've seen her in and other things, she's always good. I love her scowling stares throughout the entire, well, I was going to say the entire film, but she's not in the entire film. But in her scope of the film, I think the cinematography is kind of striking. I love the usage of space. Yeah, how it feels like the house feels very expansive, almost like it's swallowing them up, especially Remy.
Yeah, but I
think that's done really, really well. What was that, Dave?
But it's also a prison, basically.
Of course it is. Yeah. Yes, and that's why I'm saying like it's swallowing them up.
Totally. Good use of swallowing them up.
Thank you. But because usually when you think of like claustrophobic settings, it's usually very tightly focused. And this is not. This is, beautiful wide shots, feels very expansive, but at the same time, that expanse is very oppressive visually. And so I think that's incredibly well done. And the beginning is really tense because when you don't know what's going on, and the three people who come to kind of terrorize them, they kill one of their pigs, which is so sad. And written in blood, it says leave, and you're like, why do they have to leave? What's happening? What's going on? So, but the film really unravels and it's clearly trying to explore or wants to explore deep issues, but it doesn't actually do that. I would have loved to have seen an actual exploration of existential crises or morality issues. But Jerry is a goddamn fucking creep right from the start. He's a creep to Ilsa. He's awful. Then he's a fucking creep to Remy. And the fact that he's so controlling and manipulative, and he's like holding her like as she's running away after he kills her mother. And he's like, oh, you can't leave. You just have to stay. And then later he's like, I'll tell you when you can leave. Like, that's so gross. And then he like kisses her when he's consoling her. And then he tries to rape her. Like, what the fuck is this? And it's such a cheap plot line. Rape is so often, sadly, such a cheap plot line. And it's often lazy writing. And I'm not saying like you can never talk about rape or never write about it, because there are a lot of great films that do explore rape culture and sexual harassment and abuse and all of these really deep and intense ways. This film's not doing that. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
Like, it's not the right setting for it. Like there's so much to talk about here. Like the fact that supposedly everyone else on Mars is gone and all of Mars' settlements are gone, and who knows what the fuck's going on Earth. Because we find out that Ilsa and Reza's transport was shot down. So like we don't know what the state of Earth is, if there's even an Earth to go back to, if there's any way to get back there. So like that could be really compelling. It could be this like really compelling idea of like Ilsa and Remy have to live with this guy who killed Johnny Lee Miller, but like maybe they find some sort of peace because they think they're the only people left. I don't fucking know, but like there's so many different ways to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
And instead it goes to like most brutalist, shitty,
predictable,
like trudge of a movie to have to fucking watch, because you know that he's going to attempt to rape her, and you're just like, I have to live with the fact that I know that this is going to happen, and thank God the fucking robot shows up and fucking shoots him in the neck.
Thank God. Yeah. Thank God for Steve.
I know, but the thing that I was thinking of the whole time is like, what if Jerry had actually been a decent human being and legitimately killed Johnny Lee Miller in self-defense? And then it was like, all right, well, they killed my husband. He killed my husband, but this is his family, and he's not trying to fucking rape any. He's just a fucking guy, like
that would have been nice.
I know. And it's just like,
I would have liked to have seen that.
And it just, the whole time I'm watching this, and this is going to sound so stupid, but I'm like, this is just such a fucking guy wrote this. I mean, my God. And not a very enlightened one, fucking just like who sat around and thought, what would be a great idea is if Jerry was a rapist. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
To try and repopulate the Mars, I don't know. Like, it's kind of alluded to that, but we don't really know anything. So, fuck him. Fuck this movie. Fuck him. Ugh.
Yeah. Then we get that ending where it's like she's killed him and she's going to leave Steve to watch the farm and maybe go explore what's out there, if there's anything out there. And then like the door closes behind her and you're not even sure if she's like entirely locked out now and can't get back in.
Yeah. Just awful on every level.
Yeah.
I will say that ending of leaving Steve in charge does feel very Silent Running.
That's true.
Yes. I was thinking that Steve as a character and her affection for Steve, it was reminding me so much of Silent Running.
Right?
Yeah. Well, especially the way she drew the little smiley face with the chalk.
Yeah. And also how Steve has apparently got some pretty advanced AI if he's able to save a woman from being raped. I mean,
Right? Well, he clearly, I mean, it's very clear that he follows her around, and he's kind of like a dog in the sense that
he plays fetch.
Yes, he plays fetch. He tries to play with her, and he's been following her for 10 years now, however many years, and so clearly he knew she was in distress. So
yeah, that's really
where Steve's loyalty lie.
When the fucking seriously, when the robot is the most well drawn character, you are in serious fucking trouble.
Yeah, it's true.
Very true. Very true.
But we should move on then to talk about.
Yeah, this movie's miserable.
Yeah. We've given it more time than we think it should deserve.
Yeah. Yes, agreed.
So I know I was definitely excited to watch Fear Street Part 2, 1978, after we watched Part 1, which was 1994. Obviously, this is the middle film in the Netflix trilogy. This takes us back to 1978. It's in the title. Both Dina and her brother from the first film have met Gillian Jacobs, who survived the Camp Nightwing massacre in the first, I guess, encounter that they know of with this cursed entity or these killers coming out of the woodwork, basically. So they go to her and ask for help. And she basically is like, sit down, children, and let me tell you a story. For the rest of the movie.
Which works as a framing device. But
yeah, it's a great framing
before
device.
we get into it, I want to say, you remember how at the end of 1994, Dina was stabbed in the stomach and then kicked the shit out of her possessed girlfriend and tied her up? Sam, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drive over to Gillian Jacobs' house, and apparently Dina's just like, that stab wound? Not a problem.
I'm all healed.
Totally sewed that shit up.
Story.
I don't need a hospital or nothing. You got a first aid kit? No, I'm cool. Seriously.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And just also quickly want to add that this is also directed by Lee. How do you pronounce her last name? Janiak?
Yep.
So there's that through line and that consistency. But I have to say, at least for me personally, I liked this one a lot more than I liked the first movie. Like, I liked the first movie, but I feel like this one was like a really cool exploration of the town's mythology. And we talked last week, Megan, you mentioned that they were kind of teasing at some class elements that I feel like this movie really fucking digs into in a really compelling way, while also being a really fun homage to like Friday the 13th and like The Burning and all those like movies that are like the camp and Sleepaway Camp, all those like camp slasher movies. It is so it's such a good homage to that too.
But better than most of them in a way. I mean, the other ones are all charming because we remember them fondly, but this one actually has like good production values and a good and good acting and like
and it's tense.
At least a solid plot. And if I recall, one of you may have said this to me already, but I think the only murder victims in this are Shadyside residents, right?
Yes.
Right.
That's what I noticed. I didn't see any Sunnyvale people get murdered. I only saw Shadyside people get murdered in this movie.
But I dug the two sisters angle. I thought they were both great in their roles. I thought that the kind of tough woman whose name I can't remember, who used to be
Ziggy.
No, not Ziggy, not the tough sister, the blonde with the pixie cut. Alice. She was fucking cool. Yeah, I just really, I really didn't like her.
No.
Oh well.
Sorry, Alice.
I just thought her whoever played her, I really dug her performance. I dug. I mean, there were some things that didn't make sense, like that the camp would just be like built over a cave that nobody has ever noticed before. But all right,
right? Or the old town. What was it? Union was what it was called in the 1600s. They just built like the mess hall over the old town meeting hall.
Exactly. But I did like that the nicest guy in the movie becomes the axe murderer. I thought that was cool.
Tommy, poor Tommy.
I know, poor Tommy.
Yeah. That was a fun transformation to see.
I'm still not sure how the witch picks her victims, but maybe that will be explained to us.
Oh, the carving on
with
the wall?
Carving, yeah. I don't know. She's like, hey, Tommy, let that fucking guy. I mean, how does that...
Right. That's a really good question, because it seems like what happens is, in the first film, the 1994, that Sam is targeted because she disturbed the bones or the grave.
Right.
So that makes sense that she would be targeted. But why was Tommy targeted? So I hope we learn more too.
And we know why Ziggy ends up getting targeted, because she bleeds on the hand.
Right.
So her blood is on the hand. You know what I really dug? When you saw all of the past killers like show up at the hanging tree, and the one who's wearing the big mask on his head, like the paper mache mask or whatever that is. Creepy.
Oh, the Bat Boy.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. They're all coming at different angles and they're all rushing toward the same time. Oof.
Actually, I know this is going to sound kind of macabre, but I actually loved afterwards when they're both being killed. Like it was brutal. But visually, I thought it was incredibly well done, cinematography-wise and editing-wise. Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised that the older sister lived as long as she did, considering she got like 4 or 5 axe strokes directly in the sternum. But okay, maybe she's pretty tough.
Well,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of Cindy, I was kind of like annoyed by the actor who played her at first. I was like, I want more. Again, I want more range. I want more. But by the middle to end of the film, I was like, damn, she's really turning in quite a performance and really won me over. So yeah, I really liked Cindy and I really liked Ziggy too. And
Ziggy
I
was
like that
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And that actor is great on Stranger Things. But yeah, like really,
Sadie
really
Sink.
great here.
Yeah. I think that does make for a compelling story. So to rewind a little bit and talk a little bit more about the plot. It's the story centers on these two sisters, Ziggy and Cindy. Cindy's the older sister, played by Emily Rudd, and Ziggy is played by Sadie Sink. And so yeah, they have this like, you know, Ziggy's the troublemaker. She's always, you know, doing this and getting in trouble, and Cindy's like the goody two shoes. But we find out that like Cindy hasn't always been the goody two shoes. She's like tried to like kind of reform her ways. I thought that was a really cool
side curse.
Yeah.
But also to escape poverty too.
Yeah.
And again, it's coming back to what we're all talking about is how great these films are dealing with class and classism. And there's so many small touches with it, like the fact that Cindy, you know, was really obsessed and fixated on her polo shirt and not getting it dirty because clearly, like if you have a lot of money, you can just buy a new one. But when you don't have a lot of money, you hold on to the things that are nice very tightly. And so it was just like small touches as well as bigger touches that I really liked that. And I liked kind of the hearkening back to Dina. And also, they also share another similarity with Dina in that her father has a drinking problem and their mother has a drinking problem. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they're paralleling the addiction element as well as being, you know, impoverished or financially challenged too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, living in this town, living in Shadyside with all these murders and things going on, it's like, how could you not like, how could like, I would think more people would
have a problem.
I'll have a problem, like turn to substances to deal with like the shittiness, like the true shittiness, because like they really do a good job of like expanding on that in this film about how like everything is just coming up roses in Sunnyvale and everything is just literal shit in Shadyside.
Oh,
it's always been bad. Everything bad happens to people in Shadyside. It's just they do such a good job of like leaning into that, but not being heavy-handed.
Well, and it's also really exemplified well in the relationship between the guy who I don't remember his name, the guy who becomes the sheriff in 1994, and
Nick, right?
Yeah, Nick is from Sunnyvale, and Ziggy is obviously from Shadyside, and they form a sort of inappropriate counselor camper relation. I mean, he's only a year older than she is, but. So it's not that weird, but anyway, how he's like, ooh, you know, I love a girl from Shadyside, whatever. And at the end of the movie, it's like, no, she's fucking from Shadyside, whatever. Tommy went crazy, blah, blah. And she, you know, he sells them all, you know, he sells out, even though he knows what's happened, he sells everyone out.
Yeah, he doesn't back her up.
And he has that added pressure of coming from the good, like GOODE,
right?
Just like the royalty of Sunnyvale. So it's,
that's not subtle.
His older brother becomes the mayor, he becomes the sheriff, and their dad, I don't remember what he did, but he might have been mayor.
I think
too.
He was
like,
mayor
there's
too.
Definitely this expectation that they will ascend to positions of power, and so there's a lot of expectations that come with that, including not fraternizing with the help over in Shadyside.
Yeah. Fraternizing with the Shadysiders. Exactly. I also want to say that this is the first time in a very long time that I've seen children in danger and in some cases hacked to pieces in a movie that did not bother me at all. Cause I was like, it's a horror movie. That's what they're for. So, you know, just wanted to at least at least those killings when they kill kids.
Yay for you.
No,
right.
Well, they also take place off screen. Like that's not,
most of them do.
They don't kill 12-year-olds on camera. They kill everybody who's over 18 on camera. Everybody under 18.
Except Ziggy. But yeah.
Oh, right.
Yes, but she comes back and we know she survives. So it's okay. Yeah. There is something I noticed, I mean, and this is not revelatory, but something I noticed in the first film and this film is that there is a real lack of adults in this. Like it just focuses so exclusively on teens, which is kind of nice, you know, and it also, I also feel like, I don't know about you guys, that's very relevant to my childhood, being a latchkey kid. So it feels like par for the course. Like, yeah, there weren't adults around. I think things might be different now. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a kid. But anyway, I like that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that we didn't really talk about this in the first film, and it's prevalent in the first film, but it's also very prevalent in this film too, is the possession itself. And I think it's really interesting because possession films tend to be of women and girls, like obviously Exorcist, and there's plenty of other examples, but, you know, and it's oftentimes kind of seemingly or is outright a metaphor for, you know, bodies being out of control and like, you know, femininity being out of control or, you know, womanhood or what have you. And I think it's really interesting that here that, and in the first film too, that it's not just women, that it's also, you know, boys who are being possessed as well, which I just find really interesting and nice to see.
Yes. Possession. Yeah. Always nice to see.
Yes. I mean, it is in this movie. And I really like that we learned so much more about the mythology.
Yes. The mythology is great.
The witch and her cutting off her hand. And we find this cave underground where it's literally this beating dark heart that's, you know, like spawning all of these like monsters and icky things. And it's just when they see the thing beating, it's like, oh, gross. But that's so cool that like that's what's causing all of these.
And also that even though Alice is repulsed, she has to touch it anyway, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like a heart, but it also reminded me immediately of like a cocoon and like, you know, of Alien and Aliens. And I'm like, oh yeah, so it totally makes sense that it is respawning these, you know, dead serial killers.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mythology is good. And oftentimes I feel when a horror film kind of digs into mythology and really unearths it, it like might leave me kind of wanting a little more, or it's a little hokey, or it kind of leaves something to be desired. But no, I really liked it here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes me really excited to see the third one.
Totes.
Yeah, me too.
I can't believe there's only one more, which is like ridiculous. I never get excited about like, I mean, I love horror movies, as you both know, but I don't really get excited about them, you know, but
this is exciting though. I agree with you.
It's just kind of like, wow, this is the first like horror series I've seen in a while that I've been like, I'm really looking forward to seeing the next one. So, so that's very cool. I haven't felt that way since I first saw Nightmare on Elm Street, and then they came out with Freddy's Revenge. Oh well.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street, but anyway, like that series, I love.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean,
so I'm with you on that.
They vary in quality, though. You know what I mean?
Yes, they do, but they're still enjoyable, I find, nonetheless. But yeah, so I'm with you. The other thing, thinking about horror and thinking about being excited about it, and I love that you're so excited for this, Dave. That's always that makes me excited that you're excited. It does. I love that Lee Janiak and the film. I'm using the film. I'm kind of humanizing the film, but I love that she and the film is so self-aware, and it uses so many horror tropes. Like for instance, the trope of women getting killed after sex or girls getting killed after sex, and it plays with those tropes in a really smart way. And I just really like that. And that makes me just appreciate it more. And I know the first one we talked about being such, you know, kind of an ode to 90s slashers. And this is also an ode to more slashers of, you know, the 70s and the early 80s. And I love that.
Yeah, and I think it does a really good job of like taking all of its influences and doing something different with them. It's not I've seen a lot of like rather uninformed reviews, I would say, bitching about how these are like ripoffs, and it's like these movies are smarter than that. Please be a smarter viewer. You know?
I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Not everybody can like everything, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
But these are not a ripoff. There's definitely a difference between paying homage and knowing your horror history and, you know, doing so and taking that. And you're right, Dave, and innovating and doing something kind of unique with it or different.
I do want to throw out one more thing. I have one more thing to add. As much as I liked this movie even more than I liked the first one still had the best kill thus far of the series, the head through the bread slicer.
The head through the bread slicer.
I tell you, I've really never seen anything like that since like Giallo. So this is kind of amazing. We just get good old, you know, axe killing really in 1978, which, okay, a lot of it's very gory and well done, but it ain't no bread slicer. I tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy.
But but this film is really tense, and I feel I can't I know you guys are saying like you like this one better, and I don't know if I can draw a line like that where I can say I like this one better. Maybe not. I think it would depend on the day where I'd say both equally or one or the other. But I think what this one does really well and possibly better than the first film is it has a real kinetic propulsion to it, like a real sense of movement and space like with the camp. And in the underground cave too. And I just really love that. And I felt this one, even though the killing scenes are so much more brutal in the first one, I feel like this one was more tense. And yeah, and I just really enjoyed it. But they're both so fun and I love both of them.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. But yeah, I agree. There was there was something here. There was a momentum. I don't know if it was pacing, something that just made this kind of propel you through the movie in the way that I didn't necessarily feel about the first one. But yeah, I am glad we all liked this.
I wonder if it's because the first one because it's the first one you're still setting up a bit. You know what I mean?
So.
In this one, we can just dig in because we already know what's happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we know like the broad strokes, and so we can just like enjoy the development of what's happening inside this story.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if 1994 is Star Wars, then 1978 is Empire. Whatever.
Well, let's hope that 1666 isn't Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't see Ewoks popping up in.
If there were killer Ewoks in colonial times, I would pay money for that. But
aren't killer Ewoks Wookiees?
Are they related in any way? I mean, distantly?
I don't think so.
No, they're not.
Evan's like, no, there's. I don't care about lore. No.
I know. I'm like actually like thinking about the lore. I'm like, I don't think so, but maybe
I don't know either. I just,
they are from different planets.
That's
but
true.
Who knows?
I mean, Ewoks aren't even from a planet. They're from the green moon of Endor. I mean,
that's true. They're not from a planet.
The forest moon of Endor.
Ichuta. No, wait.
Anyway,
that's the first Star Wars. Sorry.
You know what I just realized? There's still so much more I have in my notes and so much more to talk about with this film. My God, this is just a packed film. There's a lot.
Yeah. We could talk for a while longer.
Oh, yeah. I'm just, like this is just, it's so good. There's so much to say. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next one for sure.
Yes.
You get a little tease of that at the end of this. You see that Dina wakes up in 1666. People are calling her Sarah, and all the other people in the town are people from the movies.
Oh, thanks. I hadn't seen that. I turned it off.
Oh, no. It comes right. It comes, doesn't it?
I know. It's a preview. I turned it off because I didn't want to preview.
Whoops. Way to go, Evan.
No, it's fine. I actually already knew that. I'm just teasing you.
I mean, I know it's spoiler piece, but geez.
Oh, man, I got spoilered on spoiler piece. I want that t-shirt.
But then also you got me.
I think you spoiler pieced her into wanting to see it. That's what I think. Is that?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Phew. All right. Let's bring it in for landing.
Phew.
So, old in theaters, right?
Back to that.
Yeah. It's in theaters. I don't think it's playing anywhere else. And it sounds like, Megan, you would not recommend it?
Yeah, it's fine, but I think you can skip it.
Fair enough. Gunpowder Milkshake. Sounds like Dave would not recommend it.
I would. Yeah. I
would. I enjoyed it.
I would also recommend it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, just because it has issues, I still enjoyed it. I would still recommend it.
If it were gunpowder egg cream, then I would be all over it. But milkshake, no.
What about a gunpowder frap?
Exactly. Gunpowder frap, extra thick. Fuck you. You know?
I dig it. I dig that. That'll be the sequel.
Yes. Oh, and that's on Netflix.
Yes, that is on Netflix. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Settlers. It sounds like none of us would recommend that movie.
Oh my God, no. And I'm sad to say that because I love a sci-fi, and
I was really looking forward to it because the whole thing just sounded cool, and then just the way it unfolded was a serious bummer.
Yeah, agreed. So agreed.
Yeah. A bummer. And that I think is on demand VOD, possibly in theaters as well. And then bringing it back to Fear Street Part 2, 1978. We all emphatically recommend seeing it, and that is also available.
Yeah.
Also available on Netflix. So Make it a Netflix night.
Nice, like a blockbuster night.
Yeah.
Wait, did we all work at Blockbuster? I know we've talked about this.
I never did.
Unfortunately,
I worked.
Oh, I did.
I worked at a bit.
I wished I could have.
I'm the only one who did that.
But I did work in a video store, so.
There we go. I knew there was a thing.
Lucky. Anyway.
It was pretty great, not gonna lie.
So, this has been another episode of Spoiler Piece Theater. We celebrated our 7th anniversary, so thank you again for tuning in this week and for tuning in over the last 7 years. It's been a lot of fun.
Wow.
And looking forward to keeping going with this thing.
Yes.
All right. So we want to say thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you.
Thanks, Otto.
Thank you, Otto. You're awesome.
We really appreciate all of your hard work week in, week out, making us sound awesome. And you can find the show anywhere you get podcasts, but you can also find us over at our website, which is spoilerpiece.com. We are also all over social media. We are Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook. We are at Spoiler Piece, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok. Did I leave anything out? I don't think so.
No, that's everything.
And you can, if you want to get in touch with us, if you want to tell us we're wrong or right about any of these movies, or if you just want to say hi, we also appreciate a little bit of fan mail here and there. You can send us an email. We're spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or you can call us
at 862-21-PEACE.
That is the Spoiler Piece hotline. You can leave us a message, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you like the show, please rate and review us. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That will take you to where you can review the show. And please rate and review us because it helps more people find us. And if you really, really like the show, you should join our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/spoilerpiece. You can sign up and you can get exclusive audio each week. This week we talked about Legally Blonde for its 20th anniversary, which is a fun discussion. So when you join up on Patreon, there's perks like that. We also give shout outs on the show to our patrons. And so we want to say a huge thank you to our patrons.
Yes, we want to say thank you to Bob Chipman, Charles Nash, Chris Wilkinson, Davida Margolin, Deirdre Crimmins, Christopher Jensen, Max Coville, Mike, Lord of the Sith, Sean Pensionar, Shauna Harris, Shelley McCaskill, Shona Glasgow, William Scahan, and Zach Pigeon. Thank you so much, patrons.
Thank you, patrons, and thank you, listeners. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. You can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd as Real Recon. That's real as in film reel.
My name is Megan Kearns. I'm a contributor to Edge Media Network, member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. You can follow me on Twitter at OpinionSWorld and on Instagram and Letterboxd at TheOpinionS.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I write about movies for some places. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd as Dave Sees Movies.
And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.